Born 2 months after the Wall Street crash of 1929 and the very definition of a Depression baby and part of the Greatest Generation, Mary Helen Jane Smith has lived a life of dramatic swings. She's seen at least 5 wars, the Civil Rights Movement, a global pandemic or 2, the moon landing, and the inventions of FM radio, canned beer, helicopters, silly putty, and the slinky. Our goal today is to create something of a record for my grandma in what she remembers and how some of these events made her feel, in her own words, from the last 94 years. How's that?
You didn't include the thing that I just saw.
What?
Down in Fredericktown. That
the eclipse?
eclipse.
Oh, you've seen a bunch of those. You've been alive a couple of years. There's been a couple eclipses. Did you see the full?
Yeah.
Like you were in totality?
Yeah.
So it got all dark and everything?
Got dark. Street lights came on. The birds went crazy. But not for long.
The first section of questions is just early life. So let's start with this one. Where were you born?
St. Louis, Missouri. On
Cool.
Hebert Street.
On what?
Hebert Street.
All right. What hospital?
Home.
All right. So
No hospital.
no hospital. What number were you in the order of your siblings?
2.
You were number 2?
Uh-huh.
So it was Mildred, then
me,
you,
and
then
Dan.
And Dan. All right. And were they all born at home?
Yep.
That's amazing. Did great grandma ever have any complications?
No.
Everything was fine?
Yep.
What?
Neighbors helped.
Neighbors helped.
The neighbor upstairs helped.
What?
And the doctor came out to the house, and the neighbor upstairs helped, and she had the baby.
Oh my God. All right. Here's another one. What is your earliest memory?
Oh. Oh, that's pretty. Oh.
You remember anything from like kindergarten?
Oh, I know before. Oh. Sitting in my rocking chair down in the backyard, and Mildred came over and took my thumb out of my mouth, and I got mad. And I guess cried.
Your first memory is Mildred messing with you?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, that's awesome.
Because nobody else messed with me.
Oh God! I imagine if anybody messed with you, Mildred was the one that took care of it.
Yeah.
What was it like being a young child during the fallout of the Depression?
The Christmas tree at Christmas had old plastic ornaments, not glass ornaments, had plastic ornaments, and that was about it.
Was it a thing were like at Christmas, was there presents, or was it each kid got a thing, or were there presents?
We were told we could have 2 things because Santa had too many kids to give to. And we could have 2 presents, and that's it. And I always wanted a doll.
Yeah.
Every year. One year, I decided I wanted a buggy to put my doll in. And I was told I had to make up my mind, either the doll or the buggy. And I couldn't do it, so I took another doll.
So you wanted a doll and a buggy?
No, I wanted a buggy.
Oh.
Yeah, yes, you're right. I wanted a doll and a buggy, and I couldn't have it. I could have one or the other.
Okay.
Nope.
Well, you don't need a buggy if you don't have a doll to put in it, I guess. So During the Depression, I love that the first thing you brought up was that there were plastic ornaments, not glass ones. I never would have thought of that as a sign of the Depression. But what about like saving Greece and newspapers and?
But everybody was issued stamp books, and the stamps were for coffee, gas, tires.
Tires.
Gas and tires. Yeah, for cars.
And this was during the Depression or after the Second World War?
This was during the Depression.
Huh.
No, it was during the war.
It was during the war.
Yes.
Right. So go back to when you were a kid. What do you remember about like the things that were saved? Like how did you deal with no one having any money?
Okay, I guess I was a kid.
It was kind of, you just didn't really know?
We didn't get a lot.
Well, yeah.
And we always had plenty of food on the table. And that, and money to pay I guess they had money. They paid the rent and all their, and whatever. They had money, but my dad worked.
What did he do? What did he do?
He was a furniture finisher.
What does that mean?
A factory. He finished furniture, put the finish on furniture.
He was a furniture finisher. What does that mean? He finished furniture.
Yeah. He put the finish.
You mean he was staining the wood?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I thought I didn't know if you meant like upholstery or
No, wood.
So he was a wood stainer.
Yeah.
How long did he do that?
For years. And then the year that Roosevelt won the election, he went to work for Husband Refrigerator, and instead of furniture, he was doing meat cases, the meat cases that are in the stores.
Mm-hmm.
He
was building them?
No, he was spraying them. He finished them.
So was it
like enamel,
work?
Huh?
Yeah. So was it factory work?
Yes.
Oh.
Factory work all his life.
Really?
Yeah.
But that was pretty common back then, right?
Yeah.
Like factory work now. You're probably the only person besides Harold that I've ever known that has done factory work.
Yeah.
It's not common anymore.
No, all his work was factory work.
All right. What about your mom?
She didn't work.
Starting when Mill was born?
No, she was in the country when Mill was born, and she did work. Well, she worked on the farm, but no, Mom never worked outside the home except for one time during the war. She worked for a few weeks, and because my dad wouldn't let her work.
Oh, yeah?
No, she was going to stay home. Her work was at home.
Well, and he was making enough to support it.
He made enough, so he didn't let. But during the war, there was a plant called, I can't think of what the name of the plant was. And Mom wanted some new furniture. Mm-hmm. So he let her go to work. She worked for about 6 weeks, I guess. And
just to make extra money for the furniture.
Furniture. When the furniture is paid for, she quit.
That's awesome.
Her dad made her quit.
When did you start going by Helen?
Kindergarten.
Why?
Because Mary Helen was too much for I didn't want to be called Mary Helen by anybody but my family.
What did your parents say when they realized that no one was calling you Mary Helen?
Nothing.
They were okay with it?
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any childhood stories that you remember?
Oh.
What was the one you were just talking about with getting in trouble with Dan?
Oh. I had done something. I don't remember what, but I had done something, and my little brother snitched on me, and I got punished. So one day when we got up to go to school, I had to make our lunches. And so I made my lunch, and then I made his, and I just took a slice of bread and smeared it with mayonnaise, then ketchup, then mustard, and then another piece of bread. So at lunchtime, the teacher told me that my little brother was at the door and he wanted to see me. So that was embarrassing. So I got up and went out in the hall to see what he wanted. And he said, I think we got the wrong lunches. I said, no, you got the wrong lunch. Now snitch on me again.
But conveniently, you don't remember what you did.
No. No, I don't remember what I did. So.
Did you guys ever play pranks on each other? That was just revenge. But did you ever play pranks on each other?
Not with him, but my sister, she was 6 years older than me, and she always wore real fancy blouses, and they had to be ironed and all of this. And so she was going to pay me if I would iron her blouses. And so I did. All these things with ruffles, and I ironed them. And when it come time to pay me, she put it off. And well, I'll give it to you next week. And so next week comes, she didn't give me. I just went downstairs. I just went in the closet and took all the blouses off the hangers and put them in the floor and stomped them and walked on them. So Mom had to wash them over, and I don't know, even know who ironed them.
But it wasn't you.
But it wasn't me.
I'm catching a theme of revenge.
And then my mom was one that you made your bed every morning. Everybody made their bed. Mm-hmm. And so my sister would get up, get herself ready, and she'd get out of there, and it was always left up. I had to make the bed every morning. And
wait, did you guys sleep in the same bed?
Yeah. And I didn't want to. So I figured out how, and I figured out how to make a half a bed. So I made the half that I slept on, and hers looked like somebody ran through it. So, but I was...
this question isn't on here, but it's very important. Have you always been a pain in the ass?
I guess to outsiders are my sister and brother, yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't care.
What? Tell me about your first professional sporting event.
I was in grade school, and one year they gave kids passes, and that was to the old stadium It
Was it in St. Louis?
It was on Spring Avenue, yeah.
Is that Sportsman's Park?
Sportsman Park, I guess. They gave us passes and we got to go to the ball game.
What were the teams?
Cardinals and Browns.
It was Cardinals versus Browns? That was your first game?
No, it was Browns versus Cardinals.
Were you a Browns fan at the time?
Yep.
Come on. And now diehard Cardinals.
Well, the Browns are gone.
Well, and did you follow them when they left, or did you just switch to the Cardinals?
Well, that's all I ever heard at home because my father was strictly a Browns fan. He hated the Cardinals.
I thought he was a Dodgers fan.
No, when they moved out to California, he didn't have any. My brother Dan made fun of him so much, and so he got to work. He'd root for the Dodgers, but no, my dad was a Browns.
Wow. Well, I'll skip that one. McDonald's opened when you were 11 years old. Do you remember your first visit to McDonald's?
I never did. I always went to, what was the hot dog place?
The only one I can think of is A&W.
A&W.
Was it really?
I always went to A&W. I never went to McDonald's.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Just...
You just preferred the hot dog place?
Yeah.
Did you get root beer floats?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Who was the first musician or singer that you remember liking?
Bing Crosby.
Bing Crosby?
Yeah.
Who is your favorite today?
Well, I don't really have one. It was Bing Crosby, and then it was Perry Como, and then it was Frank Sinatra.
So you like the legitimate singer?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have much time for the stuff now, huh?
No.
Have you heard of Ludacris?
I think I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is. Yeah.
You shouldn't know who that is.
Yeah. I've heard of someone saying, yeah, I have heard that, but they used it a different way, I guess.
Oh, Ludacris, the word, is different than Ludacris, the singer. It's a rapper.
Oh.
You don't know anything
No.
from him. Yeah.
No.
When did you have your first TV?
In 1952.
Now, how do you remember that?
It was the year Richard was born, and we lived in the city. And
so you didn't have a TV until you were giving birth to your second child?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about telephones? Did you have a telephone growing up?
Yes, but we had to ask if we could use it, and we didn't get to use it very much because a telephone was not something you just sat down and talked on. You had to have a reason for talking on it, or you didn't talk.
How old were you when you finally had a telephone in the house all the time, or did you always?
Oh, no. In let's see. I was in the 6th grade, I guess. It was the first time we had a telephone.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it exciting when you got one?
No.
No. Who are you going to call, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like everybody else had one before you, or were you one of the first families to have one?
No. Very few people had them. Mm-hmm. That didn't bother me. I didn't care if anybody had them or not.
Well, it wasn't a normal part of life.
No.
Did you?
And we had to ask if we could use it.
Yeah, why is that, though? Did it cost? Was it expensive?
No, but Mom just didn't want us on the telephone all the time. We had to ask, and we had to tell her who we were calling.
So there was no
If
hiding.
it wasn't important, she said no.
I feel like you're describing parenting now with iPads.
Yeah.
Did you always have indoor plumbing and electricity?
Well, not when I was born. Where I was born, there wasn't any. It was still outside. But I can't. Let's see. Well, I can't really remember when the first house that we had it in. But let's see. Yeah, I guess when I was 5 years old. Yeah.
5 years old.
Yeah.
It feels like that would be a monumental change.
Yeah.
What was it? Electricity first or plumbing first?
Well, we had electricity. We always, when I was 5 years old, I had both electricity and plumbing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but before that, I don't remember.
All right, so this is the new section. This is about school.
Oh boy,
your favorite topic.
Yeah.
What was school like for you? Describe what school physically was.
Nothing. I didn't like it.
I know you didn't, but what about, like, was it a one-room schoolhouse? Was it?
Oh no, it was public schools.
It was public schools.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the typical school day?
A walk to school. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed recess. And I didn't like anything else. And I got in trouble. My first day of kindergarten, I got in trouble because when the kids we all gathered in this room, and the principal come in with this other lady, and she said she wanted to introduce us to our teacher. And she said, and this is Mrs. Ketchup.
Oh, no.
And I looked up at her, and her hair was as red as a beet, and I couldn't help it. I laughed. Well, when I laughed, everybody laughed, and then I got in trouble.
I feel like you're telling me that nothing that I did was my fault. It all came from you.
What was that again?
I said, I feel like you're telling me that all the trouble I got in was your fault.
Oh, I guess.
You were broke up about that?
I'm not, yeah.
Did you have, besides recess, did you have a favorite subject and a least favorite subject?
As I got older, history was always my favorite subject. Mm-hmm. Hated math.
Hated math?
Hated math.
Why?
And I wasn't any good in math.
Well, probably why you hated it.
Yeah. And but I always liked history, and I liked.
Well, and I feel like you still do.
Yeah, I do. And I liked book reports, making book reports, but that was about it. I really didn't like school.
When did you leave school?
Oh, in the 10th grade.
And tell me that story with your dad and what he told you.
Oh, yeah. My dad had to go up and sign for me to quit school.
So you're what, 15?
15. And when we got home, he said, you have, I can't remember if it was 1 week or 2 weeks, but I had 1 week or 2 weeks to be working, to have a job and be working. And if I didn't, back to school I was going. And 5 days I had a job.
And how long were you there?
Oh, let's see. That was at the Forum Cafeteria downtown. And I was there I guess I was there for about a year. And then I went to another cafeteria called Pope's. Mm-hmm. And I just made sure I had a job. I really didn't care what it was.
Just got to make
as long as I didn't have to go back to school.
All right. So tell me again what the deal was with your dad and his brother, and then Maddie and her sister. Like, didn't they marry each other?
Yeah, my dad and my aunt. No, wait a minute.
Your dad and his brother married Maddie and her sister.
Dad married Maddie.
Yep.
And Byron, they called him Smitty, but his name was Byron, married Elizabeth.
Was that weird?
Yeah. Well, the way that happened was Mom and Mildred were still down in the country because her daddy had died. And they were living with Mildred's
your mom's dad?
No, my mom's husband.
Oh.
Mildred's dad.
That's right. Mildred's dad.
He died when she was 3 years old.
Yeah.
So, Aunt Lizzie was up here working, and so she talked Mom into leaving down there and coming up here and getting a job. She said, I can get you a job. And so my mom came up and she got Mom a job. And then that's how Mom met my dad, because the four of them went out together and everything. And that's how she met my dad, through Smitty and Lizzie.
That's why. I guess it wasn't that uncommon back then because everything was a small town.
Yeah.
What do you think about school the way it is now?
It's terrible.
Okay, why?
I don't believe the kids are being taught things that they should be taught. They don't. Kids today don't know a thing about World War II. Very, very few know a thing about World War II.
Yeah, they're kind of taught dates and names, and that's about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But they should know. They should know things that went on during World War II. Mm-hmm. And that shouldn't be just forgotten or gone by the wayside. And so I don't know. And I don't know, but I don't think kids stand in the morning when the teacher comes in. I don't think they all stand by their desk, put their hand on their heart, and say a pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Yeah, I don't know if they do or not.
We do it like once-ish a week, and then people no one actually respects it.
We did it every day, every morning.
Oh, we did too.
Yeah. And they're just, I don't know.
And we would get in trouble if you didn't respect it. Well, not only know it, but you better.
Yeah.
There's no horsing around.
So I just don't think they're being taught like they should.
That's fair. All right. So now for some fun stuff that could be potentially uncomfortable, which is going to make me laugh. What did you do for fun as a teenager?
Skate up and down the sidewalk.
What do you mean skate? Skateboard? Roller skate?
No, roller skate. Roller skate.
Just skate around the neighborhood?
No, we weren't allowed to leave our block. Mm-hmm. We had to stay on our block. And roller skating, hopscotch.
This is as a teenager.
Oh, a teenager. Oh. Well.
How'd you go get in trouble as a teenager?
How'd I get in trouble?
Yeah.
Oh. Sometimes not doing what I was supposed to do. Had things I was supposed to do and I didn't do them.
Mm-hmm.
And being late.
What were you out doing that would make you late?
No, not at night. I got in trouble if I was. My mother knew how long it would take me to get from my school home in the afternoon. And I better be at that front gate.
So if you stopped.
If I stopped to talk with some kids or something, I was going to be late and then I was going to be in trouble.
Did you ever go cruising? Did you ever do that? Like they show in the 50s and 60s movies where kids just get in their car and drive up and down the strip?
We didn't have no car. What's a car?
Fair enough.
No.
When did you get your first car?
I got my first car when I was... Let's see. When Michelle was born.
That's when you got your first car?
That's the first car I ever had. We didn't have no car the whole time I'm growing up. There's no car.
You didn't have a car until you've had your fourth child?
Yeah.
What?
Well,
was it just because everything was in such a close proximity? Like everything you needed was nearby?
That, and I didn't know how to drive. And I never bothered going and taking lessons till then. And the reason I did it then is because I got tired of sitting at home with kids and couldn't go see my mom, we walked up to the store. I would walk up to the grocery store and we'd walk up and I'd get all my groceries and then I'd call a cab and come home. Did that for years.
Were cabs cheap?
Huh?
Were cabs cheap?
Yeah, they weren't bad.
How old were you the first time you tried alcohol? Or a cigarette?
Never tried a cigarette.
You've never in your whole life?
I've never smoked. No.
Come on.
No.
Look, this is an interview. Don't lie to me.
No.
I'm sending this to the cops.
And alcohol. I can't remember when I had my first. Well, it wasn't until I got with Robert, because the kid's daddy never drank. We never had alcohol in the house. We never had soda, Kool-Aid, but we never had it. Alcohol.
Not even like as a teenager, you didn't go out and get in trouble.
No. Oh no.
Why do you say it that way?
Because as a teenager, I had to let Mom know everywhere I was going. And I had a curfew. I had a time I had to be in. And if I'd have come in with any alcohol on my breath, that would have been it. I probably wouldn't be here today.
Did you ever try in your whole life any drugs?
No.
Nothing?
No.
No devil's lettuce, wacky tobacco? Nothing?
Deviled eggs. I had deviled eggs.
Not the same.
No, never had any.
Who was your first crush?
On the kid's dad.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So tell me about that. How old were you?
15.
15. So you knew him for almost 5 years before you guys got
Oh,
kids.
well, actually, I just didn't know it. I knew him. We were babies in the same church nursery.
Come on.
We grew up in the same church.
That's wild. And that was your first crush?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Was he your first kiss?
Yep.
And that is the end of that line of questioning.
Yeah.
I don't want to know anything else. So was he your first boyfriend?
Yeah.
All right. You could have had a boyfriend you didn't have a crush on.
No, didn't have none. Didn't.
All right. So talk to me about marriage. So you met your kid's dad, and what was his full name?
Bobby Elmer.
Bobby Elmer.
Bobby Elmer. Good old country name.
Bobby Elmer Yates,
Yeah.
right? And then you were 20. Let's see. You were 20 when you had your first child. So how old were you when you got married? If you say 22, I'm going to fall out of this.
No, no.
All right.
Let's see. We got married December the 9th, and I was 16 December the next week.
You were 15 years old. So you met and married your first crush in less than a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
I didn't care anything about anybody else. I thought boys were stupid.
Well, mostly. That doesn't change. I think that's a good pattern through time. But what? So you met this boy. How did you meet him?
Well, like I say, off and on during my life, I grew up with him.
Yeah, but how did you become romantically engaged?
They lived across the street from where I lived, but I was taking care of a baby next door to where they lived, and me and his sister used to. We were always together. Her name was Carolyn Jean, and so I was always. Well, he was only around, and he'd be around for 30 days, and then he'd be gone for 30 days.
Because he was on a boat.
Yeah, yeah.
So he was a captain that drove barges up and down the river?
Yeah, well, he didn't start as a captain. He started as a deckhand. Sure. Out there working on them barges. Yeah.
Okay. Then you get married in, God, if you were 16, that must have been 1946-ish? 45?
46.
All right. And then did you decide to have mom in 1950, or was that a surprise?
It just happened.
You weren't.
I wasn't planning on it.
Weren't trying to, but you weren't trying not to.
No.
All right. Yeah, I don't want to hear any more about that. So grandma or mom was born in 1950. Then you had Richard in 52. Then you had Harold in 55. Michelle in 58. And then you got a car.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Was there ever a time when your life was at risk?
My life at risk? Oh, I can't think. I can't think of any time.
Like, did any of the pregnancies go bad? And
no, they went clockwork.
Now, did you have your kids in a house or in a hospital?
Hospital.
All of them?
Yeah.
All right. Was that weird for your mom?
No.
She was fine with it?
She didn't care.
Fair enough.
Long as I wasn't bringing them home.
Bringing them to her?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me, I want to go back to your mom and dad a little bit. What is the happiest moment you remember with your parents?
Always happy with my dad. Always. I don't even have to think about that.
Yep.
Not very happy with mom. Because I was smart enough, I could see it and I could feel it. Mildred, and of course Mildred was her first child.
Mm-hmm.
She was a half sister to me. So, and she was 6 years older than me. And she could have cared less. She always had her head in a book. And
Your mom or Mill?
Mill. And so she was no companion or no nothing. And except to find fault. And Dan, he was always too little, and he was a boy. He's out playing baseball with the little boys. Well, I am going out and playing baseball with boys. So, I don't know. It just, long as I had my dad, I was all right.
So you were much tighter with your dad than you were your mom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done nothing. I wouldn't have done anything that I knew that my dad wouldn't want me to do. Because I know it would bother him. It would hurt him. I didn't want to hurt him.
You already talked about some things about getting in trouble. It sounds like, though, most of you getting in trouble was just not following the rules of the house. You weren't out like causing trouble.
No. Oh, no. No.
It was just.
I just didn't do things I was supposed to do, or did things. Yeah.
Now, what does getting in trouble mean back then? What does getting punished mean back then? Is it go grab a switch? Belt?
Oh, no.
Timeout?
Oh, no. That had been the biggest joke of the year. Especially when I have heard a child be put in timeout, and then he turned around and he said, "Dad, did you set the timer?" So that really bothered him. He just wanted to make sure the timer was set so he didn't have to sit any longer.
Super impactful.
Yeah.
But what was it like when you were a kid and you got punished?
I just kind of, I don't know. I kind of resented it. A lot of times I didn't think that I deserved it.
Sure, but what?
I don't think it was my fault.
So if you're a parent, so you're parents, and you're punishing a child, what are they doing? What does it mean to punish a child back then? Is it smack them?
Oh, yeah.
Swat them in the butt?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no swatting. You got the fly swatter or...
What else?
And if you were when I'd go down in the country, in summertime, it would be a switch. And a switch off a tree.
Did you know that the rule of thumb, do you know where that comes from? The phrase rule of thumb? You've heard that, right?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah. The rule of thumb was, it used to be a law that you could beat your wife and kids with a switch as long as it wasn't larger in diameter than your thumb.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Yeah, that's where that comes from.
That's like when my sister's grandma, she wasn't my grandma, my sister's grandma, we went down there one summer, and Mom said I had to stay there at the Hodges. And I wanted to be all over with all my aunts and uncles and cousins, and that was the first thing, and but my grandma and all mine, they all just lived down the road, you know, and so one day I went in and I asked Miss Hodge, I said, can I go down to my grandma's? And I knew where it was. I walked down the road. I know where it is. And she said, "No, you don't need to go down there." That set it off right there. And so then I said, well, I just want to go down and play with the kids and see my grandma. She said, no, they got enough kids down there, which was true. They got enough kids down there, and they don't need another one down there, and you just stay right here. Well, I went out, and I got on the swing on the front porch. I laid there on the swing, and I thought, this is what always got me in trouble. I lay there, and I'm thinking, she ain't my grandma.
Oh, God.
And my grandma's down there. If I want to go see my grandma, I'm going to go see my grandma. And I got up out of the swing, and I went down to my grandma's.
How'd that work out?
Well, when I came home, it was already starting to get dark. And, of course, they all go to bed when, gets a little bit dark. And so the next day, Molly says, she said, Mary Helen, she said, go out there and bring me in a switch. Just like she was going to really do something with it. Well, she did. And so I realized, I thought, oh, I know why she wants a switch. So I went out, I come in with a little stick about this, well, I was stupid. I ain't gonna come in with a stick like this. I come in with this little stick. And she got so mad. And she turned around and she walked outside and she come back in, and my Lord, looked like she had the limb off the tree. And I thought, no, you ain't hitting me with that. You're not gonna do it. And so she started to hit me, and I ran. And about that time, and it's the first time she ever done anything for me. About that time, Mildred walked in, and she told her grandma, she said, no, you're not going to do that. Well, whatever Mildred said in that house was law. Mm-hmm. I mean, she was the only Hodge baby, and a girl on top of it. And so anyway, so I did get the switch. And so I don't, just things like that always happened to me.
Happened to you.
To me, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to me, because that was such a common thing when you were of that age. But there's no shot a parent could do that.
Oh God,
at this point in time.
No.
Yeah. Well, see, back then you were supposed to. I mean,
it was just the norm.
Yeah.
But someone would get mad and press.
Because boys in the country back then, their dad took them down to the barn. Mm-hmm. And when Dad said, called them by name and said, come on down to the barn, they knew what was going to happen. They got the belt.
What do you think are some of the biggest differences between being a mom now and being a mom when you had kids?
Moms now don't take care of their kids.
How do you mean?
Well, a majority of children are getting up in the morning. Mom and Dad's gone. And they do whatever they want to do. Did they go to school? They come home from school. Mom and Dad still aren't home. They have no parents. They might as well not have any parents. They're not there when they get up in the morning, and they're not there when they come home in the evening. And that's not being a parent. That's not being a parent.
How do you think we get back to them being more present when the reason that they're not there is probably because they need the money? They got to go to work.
Well, I used to always say, just what you just said. They have to work because they need the money. Mm-hmm. But if they didn't have to have the biggest house in a subdivision, 2-3 cars, no telling what else. Mm-hmm. It's what do you want? Do you want things, or do you want to take care of your children? Don't have children if all you're interested in is things that cost money and you got to work to pay for them. Mm-hmm. That's not your children are the ones that are suffering. They're the ones that are suffering.
That might have been profound right there. All right. Silly question, but I have to ask this. Have you ever been arrested?
No.
Really?
No.
Come on.
No, I ain't never done nothing to be arrested for.
Well, you should have. All right. We're going to go to work. So you left school and you got the job at the cafe right out of school, right after 10th grade.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Did you finish 10th grade or you left during 10th grade?
Well, I quit in October, so I guess.
Oh, God. No, you had just started 10th grade.
Just started 10th grade.
So you finished freshman year in high school.
Yeah.
And then you were out.
Yeah.
So you went from the cafe, and then there was another cafe you said you worked at. When did the factory jobs come into play?
Then, I worked a lot of places. I worked for Busman Fuse Company. Mm-hmm. I stood on the line. I was an inspector, and as the fuses came down the line, I knew what they were. As they came down the line, you know that little prong that comes over that bus that when they go bad, that breaks? Mm-hmm. Well, I had to stand there, and when I saw one that was broken, I had to reach in and grab it and throw it on the floor. I was an inspector.
So in a lot of your factory jobs were like that, right?
Yeah.
Where it was you had your one part thing in this thing. You were one piece of 30 or 40.
Yeah.
So how does it make you feel now that those jobs are gone? Like that is all automated now. There's nobody checking.
That's what's wrong with the world. Automation.
Why?
Why? Because there's no jobs for people. Mm-hmm. And a lot of things. People don't have to know as much.
What do you mean?
Well, maybe that isn't what I was sure.
I don't think you're wrong necessarily, because we have information in our pockets now. You don't have to remember or have learned anything. You just go into Google and type it in.
That's what's wrong.
Okay.
Well, what are you? You're just a body. You don't have to know anything. You don't have to learn anything. Well, what are you?
Waste of space.
Waste of space.
A waste of space.
Yes.
What was your favorite job? I think I know the answer to this.
Yeah.
But I want to see if you say it.
At Paco.
At Paco? What's that?
I think, I'm not sure that I'm saying that right. It changed names so many times. The factory where we did the carburetor kits.
Well, I thought you would have said Marie DeVille.
Oh, no, that was a sad job. I felt sorry for all them people in there.
Yeah. But they were in a nice place.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't feel sorry for them because I thought they were mistreated or anything. I was just sorry for them because they were in that position. So, didn't know. Some of them didn't even know what their name was.
Sure. Or why they were where they were.
Or why they. Yeah.
So I would bet that people that have had multiple jobs in their lifetime would not have said that a factory job was their favorite.
That factory job was.
Why did you like it?
I liked it because it wasn't hard. I got to be with people. I was with people all day long, every
coworkers?
day. And I just liked it. I liked the hours. There wasn't anything about it I didn't like.
Was there a sense of fulfillment? Like you felt like you did something?
Yeah, I did. And I was putting kits together for men to work on their cars. I mean, they didn't have to run to a garage and pay somebody. They could just get a kit and go home and do it themselves. And I liked it. I liked being with all those people all day long.
Well, that's cool. I would not have guessed that you would have picked a factory job.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. If you could go back and do anything for a career, anything you've ever heard of, and you could do it for a career, what would it be?
Just what I did.
Really?
Yep.
You can't think of anything you would have loved to do?
No.
All right. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. That's I'd work and
laundry list of things I'd rather be doing.
no.
What advice could you offer some of your great-grandchildren about work?
Don't be afraid of it. It ain't gonna hurt you.
What do you mean?
Well, work. Don't sit around or lay around or sleep in the bed till noon and that was another thing that my dad told me. He said, you will have a job within 2 weeks because you are not, if you think that you're going to lay up in the bed till 10, 11 o'clock, no. He said, back to school you'll go. He said, no. So, no, I just, of course, everybody's different. No, not everybody thinks the same way. But I think women should stay home with their children and their home, and men should work and make the living and help raise the kids. That's.
What do you think about families that have flipped, where the mother's working and the dad's staying at home?
No.
Why?
That man should be out working and that woman should be at home.
Why?
Because she's a mother. There's a difference between a mother and a father in many ways. No, that woman should be home with her children, raising her children and taking care of the family and the house, and the man should be out working.
What do you think about so some of the more aggressively bad portrayals of the 50s and 60s husband? It's like if there's not dinner on the plate when I come home, somebody's getting it. Like, what do you think about that portrayal? Or was that something that were you ever in that position, first of all, where your job was get the kids ready, get them out the door and have dinner on the table when he gets home? Was that ever a situation you were in?
No.
Okay. I was curious what you think about that perception, because a lot of times there's obviously negative possibilities there, but it's not.
I guess it's because I saw my dad get up and go to work every morning, and my mom had supper on the table when he came home, but not because he would have thrown some kind of a fit or anything like that.
Do you feel like she felt like that was how she could be part of the of the family? She was proud of that. She was proud of that. She was happy that she had a home and had somebody that was working like that, and they weren't poor and having to wonder where the next meal was coming from. No. Well, they were fortunate for that time then, right?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Now we're going to get into wartime stuff because you've lived through a lot of it. All right. Okay. So World War II broke out when you were about 10 years old.
11. I was 11
You're
years old.
11? No. Hold on. So World War II broke out when you were 10, but the U.S. got involved when you were almost 12.
Yeah.
And that was, do you remember hearing about the war in the world before the U.S. got pulled into it?
No.
Okay. So then once Pearl Harbor's attacked, now we're in it.
Oh, that was.
Yeah, tell me about that. What was that like?
Well,
I imagine it was terrifying.
Yeah. But
Hawaii's also, it kind of feels like they're way out there.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel like an immediate threat. So what did that do to an 11, almost 12-year-old girl? Like, holy crud, we're under attack.
Well, I was scared.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they could get to Hawaii, they could get here.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, kids were scared. But I know, and well, we usually went to shows on like Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, and during that time, like we have commercials on television.
Mm-hmm.
During that time, in between scenes, and that they would have something that's going on.
Little news reports.
Yeah, news reports.
Yeah.
And
they used to do that in movies too, right?
Yeah.
They would stop movies to show you like an update on the war.
And I remember whenever they show some action going on,
mm-hmm.
and we'd all boo. Kids would all boo at the Germans and in the theater. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
You know how quiet a theater is,
mm-hmm.
and all kids would boo the Cardinals, boo the Germans, and boo the Japanese.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we booed them.
So what was it like when that war ended? Well, how about, so during the war?
Well, during the war, like I started to say a long time ago, there was stamp books issued.
Yeah.
Every home had a stamp book.
Well, and this is when you had the war ration with the lard. And
and it depended, how many stamps you got was depended on how many people there were in the family and all that. And
didn't you trade them?
I got the biggest kick. That's the only time I ever seen my mom actually bother to talk to a neighbor, because Mom didn't get with neighbors,
mm-hmm.
no. And all the neighbors there in the block, us kids used to laugh at them. They'd all be out there and they'd be trading, because we didn't have a car.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't want the gas and we didn't want the tires.
Mm-hmm.
So Mom would trade somebody for coffee and butter. Mom would trade for butter and coffee, and she'd give them gas and tire. And so that was one thing, the books.
Mm-hmm.
And that got to be, because there was some families, they needed the gas, they needed the tires,
mm-hmm.
and they wanted and sugar, I think. I think sugar was in there too.
What's that like? So I guess you go from being born in a depression where everybody was scratching and saving for everything.
And then the war hits.
You make it through, and then you've got a war, and now they're saying, we'll let you know what you're allowed to have.
Yeah.
What the heck? What is that?
Well,
like?
I was 11 years old.
I mean, yeah. You just dealt with what was given.
I seen what was going on,
mm-hmm.
but to really bother, I wasn't afraid or anything, because I was 11 years old.
What do you think? So you've mentioned before that because of World War II, you've got some pretty deep-seated anger towards groups of people in the world. It's hard for me to say you shouldn't, because that must have been an incredibly fearful, and fear turns into anger. So now, but when you were growing up, you went through World War II, then Korea, and then Vietnam.
Yeah.
I can understand how you would have a problem trusting Asian people in general.
And the Korean, that was when your grandpa, your mom's dad, she was just 6 weeks old. And he got his notice.
Who?
Your dad. I mean, your grandpa got his notice that he had to go. And he never did see any action, or he never made it any further than Hawaii.
This was Bobby?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, but
man, when I was just kind of researching what everything that went down during your life, it was a lot of war, and I'm not even counting, the 90s and everything that's been happening since. So when you heard that World War II was over, what was that like?
Oh, that was great.
I mean, was it people celebrating everywhere?
Yeah,
what was
everywhere.
It? Where you were, what happened?
Well, I'm trying to think.
Do you remember where you were?
Well, that's what I'm trying to remember, where I was. That was what year?
That the war ended?
Yeah.
I don't know. Braden, look it up. Kelsey, look it up. When did World War II end? 45?
45, yeah. Farty. Let's see, 45.
World War II ended September 2nd at 45.
Kelsey for the win.
Kelsey for the win.
Well, it ended in 45.
Which means
and I got married in 46.
Yeah, it means you were about 15, 16.
Yeah, so
you're 15 years old. You hear that how do you hear it, by the way? Do you only hear it from news? Do you hear it on TV? How do you hear it?
Not TV. We didn't even have a TV.
So did you just hear a bunch of people celebrating outside and go figure out what the heck's going on? Or?
Well, there was a lot of, it was kind of like, what holiday is it? They get out, have cowbells. Election. It was kind of like election day.
Hold on. What are you talking about? Cowbells on election day. What is that?
Well, used to, when there was an election of a president and the people whose man got in, oh my gosh.
They would ring cowbells?
Oh, they were cowbells, horns, everything, firecrackers, everything when their man got it. And I heard that 4 times with Mr. Roosevelt.
That's right.
Yeah. And I remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
Well, that actually is part of my next little series of questions here. So the presidents that have served in your lifetime.
Yeah.
So right after or right before you were born, it started with Hoover.
Oh God, that was that was nothing. He was ignorant.
Then FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, JFK, Lyndon Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush 1, Clinton, Bush 2, Obama, Trump, Biden. That is a wild swing.
I can name the ones that I wasn't for.
Yeah, I believe you. But which one was your favorite out of
Roosevelt.
all? Why?
Well, he was the one that if it was, I don't know if it was before the war or after the war, people were out of jobs. Mm-hmm. They were hungry. Mm-hmm. And Roosevelt got elected, and he came in with that, whatever that was he did.
New Deal?
That might have been it.
FDR, wasn't it? The New Deal?
And everything changed, and everything was good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you feel like he...
And evidently he did a good job because 4 years and 4 times.
4 terms, yeah. Well, and after he served, or he started his 4th term, that's when they put in the amendment. I think it's the 22nd Amendment where you can't.
But he died anyway during that.
Yeah.
That one, yeah.
Which one was your least favorite? Hoover, FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, JFK, LBJ, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, and Biden.
I think you know which one.
Which one?
Obama.
By our conversations, I would assume Obama.
Obama.
All right. Why?
I don't know. There was. It wasn't the color that did not enter. There was something that went on the way he got in. Something that was done some way that he got in that I didn't.
It just felt slimy.
Yeah.
From every conversation we've had about it, I feel like you don't like the populist wave and like you're just supposed to agree because everybody does. I feel like you push back on that. And so there was a significant push for him because he was going to be the first black president.
Yeah.
I understand that. There's something to that. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
But anytime there's a group of people saying you should do this, you tend to fight back.
Yeah. Well, that's usually what I do.
And it is what it is. There's nothing good or bad about that. Were there any presidents or any politicians of any kind that you just despised? They did things that just made you angry.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think which ones they were.
FDR, Truman, Eisenhower.
Wait a minute, go slow.
JFK,
No.
LBJ, Nixon.
Oh, Nixon.
Why?
Oh, he just was not a good person. I'm trying to remember what he did. What was it? Yeah.
Well,
was he the
Watergate.
one that
He hired people to sneak into the
headquarters.
Yeah. That was Watergate.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a little shady.
Yeah.
little shady. Is there anyone that you wish would have become president? Was there anybody that you were super for that just didn't make it? Like Hillary Clinton.
Who?
Hillary Clinton. Didn't you really want her to win?
Oh, yes. Someone that didn't.
Is there anybody that never was president, but you would like to have seen them as president? That's a weird question.
Yeah.
Let's go to this one. You've mentioned before that you don't think a woman should be president.
No.
Why?
No. Don't think a woman should be president. Don't think these women, in fact, I'm just about fed up to hear with the Cardinals if they don't get them women off of there. I can't stand
what?
listening to those women.
Oh, on the announcer squad?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Why don't you like that?
They don't know nothing about baseball. God. It's probably written out for them on a piece of paper, and they read it.
Okay.
They got no business there.
But
That's a man's job.
Why don't? All right. Why don't you think a woman could be president though?
No.
Well, I guess if you think they can't be sports
No.
announcers, they definitely couldn't be president. Okay. All right. So one more category about things that happen in your life, and then it's time to get into the things that I want to know your thoughts on. All right. So the more philosophical questions. So race. Been a huge shift in race opinions and attitudes and rights and everything. Your entire life, it has gone from one angle to the opposite. So when you were around 35 years old is when the civil rights movement really kicked into force. You were 35 before that happened.
Yeah, I didn't.
What was it like before that?
I didn't let it bother me. It's what was going to happen was going to happen.
But how were, before the civil rights movement became a thing, right? And then everything changed after Martin Luther King. Like when that happened, everything changed.
Yeah.
But before then,
Well, he was a troublemaker. He was a rebel rouser. Yeah.
I could possibly agree with that.
Yeah.
But in the interest of making things right, I would say, why do you think he's a rebel rouser?
He'd pick things that would cause a big ruption with the people.
Yeah.
That's a rebel rouser.
Yeah. But I think he was an incredibly gifted public speaker in that he could rise the emotions of the group. He was one of the most brilliant public speakers I've ever seen. Every speech I've seen of his, it's almost a religious experience every time, which was by design, but it's impressive.
And I can't help it sometimes because I never went to school with them. Mm-hmm. I never went to school with them. They had their schools and we had our schools.
Yep.
In their community, they had their schools.
But now, does that seem crazy?
No.
Why?
It don't bother me too much now. But, and then used to be when my mom, when we would go down on, it was 14th Street. Mm-hmm. That was a street that had shops. Mm-hmm. Any kind of shop you needed, it was on 14th Street. And we would go down there shopping, mm-hmm. like when I needed clothes or something like that. And that's where Woolworth's Dive Store was. Mm-hmm. And sometimes me and Mom would, can't believe it. That's one time when me and Mom would go down and go shopping. And we would be walking down the sidewalk, mm-hmm. say, to the store. And then down there, coming this way, would maybe be a woman and her little kids. And they were colored.
Yeah.
But when we're going this way, and they're coming this way, and before if they got that close, those little kids stepped off the curb down into the street. They didn't stay on the same sidewalk with us.
Doesn't that seem crazy to you now, though?
Yes. And then after they got past us, then they stepped back up on the sidewalk. But they would not walk on the sidewalk. They would not pass you on the sidewalk. They would step down.
I've heard stories about this, right? Just from you and from history. But if they didn't do that, there could be a repercussion. They could get attacked.
Oh, yeah. I guess they could have. I didn't know nothing about it.
You never saw that?
I never saw any of that. And and at that time, no one ever explained to me what was going on. I thought it was kind of silly. I thought, well, I used to think, well, what are they getting down in the street? And then I'd see them get back up on us, but no one ever explained. No one explained to children. No one ever explained to me why they did that.
Well, I think that was a cultural thing at the time, though. Like parents didn't feel the need to explain things to their kids.
Well,
they tell you what they felt like telling you.
It didn't even bother my mom if they hadn't done it. That made it harder too, because my mom wouldn't have cared if they stayed on the sidewalk and passed us. And
Well, do you think people are more or less racist now?
well, I think they're less.
Yeah.
I know. I wouldn't stop down. I wouldn't step down on the curb for nobody. I'm gonna walk on that curb. I'm gonna walk on that sidewalk. It's my sidewalk as well as yours.
I feel like the open, angry racism it's got to be almost gone. Like it's just, if you're an angry person because they have a different color skin than you, what are we doing? What do you think it is? It was a question that I came up with trying to figure out how to relate the disconnect between your neighbor, the black guy, and the celebrity black guy, because the opinions were different. So how do you think it is that non-whites could be so loved in entertainment and music and movies? They could be loved there, but not in real life. How did that happen? Like Louis Armstrong. Louis Armstrong could stand up, play his trumpet, sing a song, and everybody's loving it. Right?
Yes.
You love Louis.
I love it.
They could love it. But if he was sitting next to you in a restaurant, it was a problem. For some.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I don't know. Because, see, I never was put in any kind of a position. Never knew.
Were you ever attracted to a black guy?
No.
I don't know. I don't know what you're into. What did you think? Actually, I'll stop there. So, all right. You ready for this? These are insightful questions.
Oh, boy.
Does she need
You might get the same kind of answers, too.
All right. Okay, so this category is just things that I want to know how you think about them, okay? And really, that was the goal of this whole thing. But do you have any regrets?
About what?
Anything. About life. Is there anything that you regret?
No, I can't think of anything.
I mean, that's pretty great, if that's true. That's
think.
pretty great. What would you share with the kids that are going to be born next year? What do you want to tell them? It's 2024. What do you want to tell kids that are getting born in 2025? What do they need to hear?
Oh, what do they need to hear?
Yeah. It's just the right question, I guess. What do they need to hear?
They need to hear more things from their parents. And if we had school teachers that were school teachers like we used to have, if they would hear more from them. Because school teachers and parents are the most important things in a kid's life, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, so they just need more from parents and teachers.
More attention, more teaching, and advising and helping their children learn and do the right things. That don't mean they're going to do it, I know. But a lot of them don't have a chance.
What is the most disturbing thing you think that is happening right now?
Electing a president.
You think it's disturbing that we're electing a president?
No.
Or the election itself?
The the election
Like the
itself.
campaign.
Yeah.
That's disturbing.
That's disturbing.
Why?
Because none of it's true.
Oh,
They all lie. They don't add what they promise and what they say, and they don't mean a you know what. But
they don't mean any of it.
But it's a way just to get in.
What do you think is the key to being as healthy and aware as you are at 94?
Don't smoke. Don't drink. Don't take drugs.
Is that it?
That's it.
And apparently eat whatever you want.
I eat whatever I want, unless I know that my body
Right.
can't handle it.
Right.
Yeah.
What would you do if a doctor came to you today and said you need to stop eating bacon?
Well, right now, I'd say I already have, because I can't find a brand of bacon that tastes like bacon. Don't smell like bacon. Don't even smell when it's cooking. And bacon's cooking smell will kill you. I mean,
What's your favorite food right now?
I like pasta. Pasta's my favorite food.
All right. So if a doctor came to you and said, don't eat any more pasta, bad for you.
I'd ask him why.
And he said,
Why is it bad for me and what does it do? And if he can answer those two questions, I won't eat it. But he can't answer them.
because there was a study in Germany that says that eating pasta means you growing a second thumb on your left hand.
Do I look like I got a second thumb on my left hand? Oh.
If this was playing for all of your kids, all of your grandkids, all of your great-grandkids, and I sent them this link, and you got to say something to them, what do you want to say?
Be good. And do what you're supposed to do.
That's it?
That's
Be
it.
good, do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's pretty simple. All right. That's it. That's all I had for you.